I was sitting in that same stiff, government-issued swivel chair, squeaky wheel, worn-down armrest. The usual, when Mark slid a manila folder across his polished oak desk. Same routine as always. That practiced look, half-shrug, half-pity. I didn't even need to open it. Rejection number 12. 12 times passed over for regional director, and I already knew who got it this time. Alana, 10 months on the job, not even a full year. Listen, Noel, Mark said, leaning in like we were co-conspirators instead of coworkers. I know the end of the fiscal year isn't ideal for leadership changes, but I've put your name in for the summer cycle. You're right there. I nodded, like I hadn't heard that almost verbatim for the past 4 years. Like I hadn't onboarded every single person who leapfrogged me since 2017. Then something broke. I laughed. Not a polite chuckle, a full-bodied, echoing laugh, the kind that says, I'm done. Mark froze. Whatever facial expression he'd queued up, empathy, concern, short-circuited mid-load. Something funny? Yeah, I said, still laughing. Me, for thinking this place would ever stop pretending. That was the moment it shifted. Hi, I'm Noel. I was 36 when it happened, working at a regional logistics hub in Raleigh, North Carolina. 7 years of fixing fires, saving accounts, training people who'd end up managing me. 7 years of being called essential, just never eligible. Before we go further, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment if you've ever been the one quietly carrying the weight, while someone else got the spotlight. You're not alone. And what happened next? Let's just say Raleigh wasn't ready. Regional Director. The title that should have been mine 4 years ago. Let me rewind. TriPoint Logistics was founded by 3 ex-supply chain execs who jumped ship from a Fortune 100 to bring heart back to logistics. Lean, scrappy, we're a family, that whole thing. Mark was employee number 5. I was number 22, back when we worked out of a rented suite behind a strip mall in Garner. I rebuilt their tracking systems from scratch, rescued the Portwell account mid-collapse, clocked 60-hour weeks like it was part of the mission, delivered every time. But the promotions? Always just out of reach. And they didn't just pass me over, they explained it. More cross-team visibility. So I led multi-department projects. Mentored junior staff. So I did. Get fluent in our new TMS. I got certified. Every time I met the goal, they moved the target. Meanwhile, the promotions went to people who hadn't done half the work. Brian, who missed every deadline but played pickleball with Mark. Daniela, who leaned on me for dashboards but sipped wine with the VP. And now Alana, whose main qualification seemed to be sharing a sorority with our COO. For a long time, I thought it was me, too blunt, too quiet, the wrong energy, the wrong past. But when I saw Alana stroll by with that engraved nameplate, it hit me. It wasn't me. It was the game. And the game was rigged. That night, I collapsed in my hallway, still wearing my coat. I cried like something cracked open. Then I called my sister, Lauren. She listened, then said, "Wait, you can't just quit?" 7 years, I said, that's sunk cost. Stop giving them your best. And that was the break. Stop caring. Stop trying to earn what they've already decided you don't deserve. I sat there, holding the phone against my cheek. That's not who I am, I whispered. Maybe, she said, but maybe it's who you need to become. I didn't sleep that night. Her words echoed like static. 7 years of showing up, of trying, of holding the line. And for what? A pat on the back and another empty promise? Something hardened, a plan began to form. Because I knew how TriPoint really worked. Not the polished version they sold to investors, but the real one. I knew which accounts were dangling by a thread. Which reports were doctored. Which clients stayed only because I kept them calm. Despite 12 rejections, I was the scaffolding beneath 5 key accounts. Without me, the Mid-Atlantic region would start to wobble. So the next morning, I put on my blazer, walked in like nothing happened, nodded at Mark, congratulated Alana, and sat at my desk. Then I started building my exit. First, document everything. Every system I designed, every fix, every late-night call. All of it, logged and stored in a private vault. Mine, not theirs. Then I built what I called my indispensability map, a blueprint of everything I touched. Every weak point tied to me instead of the org. Cold? Maybe. Strategic? Absolutely. That's what 12 rejections will do. They don't just bruise you, they sharpen you. I gave myself 6 months. Not to quit quietly, but to leave on my terms. Phase 1? Make myself untouchable. If you've ever been underestimated while keeping the whole operation standing, you're going to want to hear what happened next. So stay with me, because this is the story of how I stopped asking and started taking. I volunteered for every crisis, every chaotic client fire, every system crash, every moment when tempers ran hot and leadership scattered. When our biggest account, Riversband Logistics, hit a snag, they didn't go through official channels. They called me, not the help desk, not their assigned liaison. Me. But I was smart. I didn't sabotage. I didn't manufacture reliance. I just was the solution. And I kept the receipts. Phase 2, my escape hatch. I started meeting old colleagues over coffee, the ones who'd moved on to startups, VC-backed firms, boutique consultancies. I wasn't job hunting. I was designing something new. I updated my portfolio, not a resume. Because I wasn't chasing a seat, I was building my own table. Phase 3 was the hardest, emotional detachment. I stopped wincing when Mark took credit for my strategy decks. I stopped caring when I wasn't invited to leadership offsites. I stopped pretending TriPoint was a mission. It was a tool, a bridge. Then came Rejection 13. This time it went to Kyle, 2 years in, loud, confident, fluent in leadership cliches and buzzwords. Old me might have broken. New me just smiled. Congrats, Kyle, I said, meant none of it. Mark kept waiting for me to knock on his door, ask what I needed to work on. I never did. By month 5, I had a cushion. I quietly incorporated Langston's strategy group, secured a line of credit, started having friendly conversations with 2 frustrated TriPoint clients. I wasn't stealing, I was being present, available, human. Then, exactly 6 months after rejection number 12, I walked into Mark's office. No invite, just a printed letter. I'm resigning, I said, placing it on his desk. His face contorted, shock, then panic, then the look I'd waited years to see. You can't just quit, he stammered. You're leading the Meridian freight transition. We're mid-integration with Riversband. I smiled, calm, unbothered. My 2 weeks are in the letter. Everything's outlined. He scanned the paper like he could blink it into saying something else. If this is about the promotion, we're heading into Q3. I've been pushing for. No, Mark, I said, this isn't a negotiation. I'm done. And now? Now it gets good. This is where 6 months of careful, strategic preparation start to land. Where they begin to realize what they're about to lose. But I'll be honest, this part still tightens my chest, even now, years later. Because I remember the fear. I remember how close I came to shrinking back, to saying, maybe just 1 more year. But I didn't. And if you want to know what came next, how my exit didn't just shake them, it shattered them, keep listening. That resignation? It was just the spark. What followed? Pure chaos. Mark held a last-minute leadership huddle, didn't invite me, of course. He told them, Noella's been great, but we've got systems in place, we'll manage. Oh, Mark. Turns out, I was the system. Every late-night fix? Me. Every kludged workflow? Mine. Every workaround holding the Mid-Atlantic together? All mine. By day 3, the panic set in. Mark started scheduling daily knowledge transfers. Asked for documentation, training decks, process handoffs. Only problem? There was no replacement. Happy to help, I said. My consulting rate is $275 an hour. He looked like I'd slapped him with a calculator. You still work here, he sputtered. For 11 more days, I replied, sweetly. He grumbled to the partners, but by then, it was too late. Riversband's CIO, Lorraine Donnelly, called TriPoint's CEO directly. I only knew because Ren, his assistant, told me over lunch. She leaned in, whispering, Lorraine said, and I quote, "If Noel's off our account, we're revisiting the contract." Ron laughed nervously. I've never seen Graham sweat like that. By the end of that week, the first offer came. Mark called me in. This time, Graham, the CEO, sat beside him. His expression was grim. "We've re-evaluated your contributions," Graham said, like it was some shocking revelation. "We'd like to offer you the regional director role, effective immediately, with a 15% raise." I nearly laughed. The title I'd spent years chasing now dangled like a consolation prize. "I appreciate the offer," I said, measured, "but I've already committed to another path." They both froze, like it had never occurred to them I might have options outside TriPoint. And that? That was the sweetest moment of all. "What would it take?" Graham asked. "We can stretch to a 20% raise." "It's not about the money," I said. And that was true. Partly. Sure, I'd been underpaid, but it wasn't just that. It was about dignity. About waking up one more day in a place that had told me, 12 times, that I wasn't worth promoting. By the second week, the cracks were showing. The Meridian project was imploding. Custom dashboards kept failing. Clients were calling, asking for me by name. Then came offer 2, Senior VP. 30% raise. Choose your projects. Leadership access. I said no, again. "You're being unreasonable," Mark snapped, the fake smile gone. "We're trying to make this right." 7 years. "Mark," I said quietly. "You had 7 years to make it right." On day 10, Graham came to my desk himself. Eyes sunken, voice hoarse. "Name your price," he said. "Director level, full autonomy, remote, whatever it takes." And for a second, I did hesitate. It was more than I ever thought they'd offer. But then I remembered, 13 times. 13 times I was passed over. 13 times I watched less experienced people walk away with the title I earned. "I'm sorry," I told Graham. "My decision's final." On my last day, I surprised even myself. I was professional. I handed off every file, every note, every transition doc. No burned bridges, no drama. I just walked out. Cardboard box in hand. Half-wilted desk plant. Chipped coffee mug. Mark intercepted me at the glass doors. "You're making a mistake," he said flatly. "You won't last 6 months out there." I smiled. "Watch me." That's when the real story began. Because the revenge wasn't the resignation. It wasn't the chaos I left behind, though that was satisfying. The real revenge? What came next? Remember those 2 frustrated clients? The ones I'd quietly met with? The day after I left, I met them again. This time as founder and CEO of Northline Strategies. 1 week later, Riverpan terminated their TriPoint contract. They signed with me instead, every service line. Not just the broken dashboards, the whole portfolio. When Graham found out, he called in a rage. "This violates your non-compete." "Actually," I said calmly, "I never signed one. You might want to check your files." Silence. 7 years of paperwork, and they'd never bothered. Their oversight became my launchpad. 3 weeks later, Meridian Freight followed. TriPoint offered to slash rates by 40%. They still walked. By month 3, I had 5 clients, 3 former TriPoint accounts, 2 from referrals. And I was earning triple my old salary. I hired my first employee, Tanya. A brilliant, overlooked analyst from a rival firm. I set boundaries. Charged my worth. Built smart systems instead of patching broken ones. Then came the unexpected. Month 5, a message on LinkedIn. "Kirsten, number 13. Can we grab coffee?" she wrote. "Over lattes." She looked drained. "I'm miserable," she said softly. "Everything's falling apart over there. No one knows what they're doing. The Riverpan account is a mess. Mark blames everyone but himself." I nodded. None of this surprised me. "They talk about you like a ghost," she said. "Graham banned your name from meetings." But then he asks, "How did Noel handle this?" It was satisfying to hear. But also, sad. Sad for the people still stuck. Sad for the 7 years I wasted chasing approval that never came. So why are you telling me this? I asked. She looked up. I want to work for you. I nearly choked. Wait, seriously? You've built something real, she said. With people who respect you. That's what I want. She wasn't angling. Just someone exhausted. Someone ready to be seen. Send me your resume, I said. We'll talk. Exactly 6 months after I left TriPoint, my phone rang. Noel, it's Graham. He sounded tired. We're struggling. Q3 numbers are the worst in 5 years. 7 clients gone. We want you back. We'll match your salary. Double it. Director title, equity. This was the moment I used to dream about. But I didn't want it anymore. I'm sorry, Graham, I said. I've moved on. I hung up. Sat at my desk, in my office, with my name etched in glass. And I cried. Not in bitterness. In relief. 7 years of invisible weight, gone. Today, Northline has 17 employees. We've doubled revenue 2 years in a row. We protect our team. We choose clients who respect us. Kirsten now leads client services, thriving. Whole. Tanya runs analytics. Run, Graham's old assistant, is our operations manager. TriPoint, still limping along. They've downsized. Mark was let go. Graham reached out again, this time with a merger proposal. I declined. Politely. Because the real revenge isn't proving them wrong. It's realizing you never needed their approval in the first place. Those 13 rejections? They weren't failures. They were redirections. So if you're stuck in a place that can't see your worth, hear this. You don't have to keep auditioning for people who've already decided not to cast you. Sometimes the most powerful move isn't fighting back. It's walking away. If this resonated, like and subscribe. Drop a comment if you've ever had to walk away to find your worth. I read every single one. And remember, your value was never up for debate. See you in the next.